Houston Real Estate Radio starts right now.
Welcome back to Houston Real Estate Radio. I'm your host, Shanna Register, and you can find videos of all of our guests at HoustonRealEstateRadio.com. And anything that you hear about that you're interested in, you can link to them from the HoustonRealEstateRadio.com website. If you've got a real estate question, give me a call, 281-882-8088. We'll be happy to answer your real estate questions right here on the air every Sunday. All right, so how important is socialization in your neighborhood? Think about the house that you live in. Would you have purchased that house if there wasn't an HOA, or if there weren't social events going on? Or did you really just purchase the house and not the lifestyle that goes with it? Maybe you did. Different people purchase houses. They're motivated for different reasons. Obviously, there are big master plan communities, then there are small communities. There are acreage lots, so there are a lot of options out there. Today, I have a guest here in the studio with me. And Leanne Donelson is an expert on that subject. She is the editor and publisher for the GLF magazine. It was originally started over in Gleannloch Farms. So I'm going to talk with her today. Welcome to the show, Leanne.
Well, thank you.
So you started originally the magazine for Gleannloch Farms, and it's kind of broadened its reach.
Yeah. Originally, I had tried to get an ad in our subdivision newsletter, and I had a 5-year wait period.
Wow.
So I decided to shut everything down and to start a magazine and to get it running. And because there were so many cool events that were going on in our neighborhood, we had a nice subdivision newsletter, but I decided that we should have a little bit more, and maybe something in color would be really nice to add to our neighborhood.
So a lot of people I know are tired when they come home from work, and they have these garages. So they pull into the garage, they close the garage door, and they go in the house, and they never see their neighbors. But on the other hand, I hear that people don't see their neighbors all week long, but then I also hear that people do socialize with their neighbors on the weekend. They see them at the pool, they have a bunco group once a month, a book club. How important are those things to the neighborhood?
Well, one of the key things is if you know what's going on a little bit in your neighborhood, and I'm not saying knowing everything, but if you're seeing something different going on, like someone's at their house and they're being cased or looking to maybe break into their home, at least you know if the neighbor a little bit and they say, hey, we're leaving town, we're going to Louisiana, keep an eye on the place for us. And so
keeps down crime a little bit.
Yeah, and it helps out too, especially during the hurricane when we were here during Ike. A lot of the neighbors were able to help each other out. They knew each other, give them food and electricity, and some of them had backup generators and could share and help each other out. So,
do you think that socializing within the neighborhood and having these community events, do you think that it does help sell the houses in the neighborhood, or do you think that has any impact on it?
I believe it does. Most people want to move into a neighborhood where they feel a sense of community. In Gleannloch Farms a couple years ago, I had actually a real estate agent come to me and said she wanted to do a social event but couldn't figure out something. So we started an event called Claws, Coats, and Cocoa at the Gleannloch Pines Golf Club, where people would bring actually used coats, bring them up to the golf club, and then they got free photographs with Santa. And then the kids would stay afterwards and have cocoa, and we showed a movie up there. And that was through the cooperation of the golf club. And then some of the other small businesses that actually donated their time or their money to help pay for popcorn and different items for that event.
It turned out to be you had a good turnout for the event?
It was extremely good. And then that we spun into another event for National Night Out, which helped out, got more people involved in the community to shaking hands. I was surprised at some of the groups that actually formed each other and met and formed some social groups, like a couple bunco groups and wine groups, and just single people getting out together.
I definitely think that it helps to sell houses. I know that I'll have people come to me and they say, I want to live in this specific neighborhood. And I'll say, well, what do you know about the neighborhood? Well, I know a lot about the neighborhood because my friend lives over there. and I want to live by my friend, or I want to live by my family that lives over there. And the reason they like it and they want the community has nothing to do with the houses. It has to do with that community and whatever they've got going on. They've got sporting events for their children to do. They've got things that the family wants to be involved in. So I definitely see that when people buy houses, they do buy the lifestyle.
It's true. We've actually now created a farmer's market, actually are patterning it after the Woodlands, and are going to have a farmer's market in Gleannloch Farms. Another fun event we've created was Flamingo Fridays, where we've got pink little birds that are up and down the Champion Forest that lead you to the recreational center, so the kids can come swim and watch a movie, because we've got a big blow-up inflatable movie screen. And it gives them an opportunity to get together and know each other and kind of bind the neighborhood together, because we've got 2 different schools in our subdivision. And we're one of the largest, I believe, growing communities still. We still have 4 brand new sections that are opening up in Gleannloch right now as we speak.
It's been growing for a lot of years.
Yeah. And there's still some property left, and we have the Grand Parkway, which will be coming off of the backside of us, which will probably be a good thing, because I've actually heard of families moving into Gleannloch just so they can have easy access to go to the Grand Parkway, because they work down in Sugar Land now.
Right. Do you see a problem with recruiting people to help you with the events?
To a degree, sometimes. What has been really key is some of the small businesses have been helping out, and I've gone to them and said, I call it the Jerry Maguire thing. It's like, let's go do the FaceTime. So if you're a real estate agent, or if you are a orthopedic surgeon, or any type of small business, then you can come out, grab a small table, shake hands, introduce yourselves. Very few times when you're with your neighbor do you know what they do for a living, because we don't wear name badges that say, this is my company. It gives them a chance to kind of get to know you a little bit better. So that's been helpful. Some of the PTOs have actually come out too. Both of our Hostler PTO and Frank PTO have come out so that they can say, hey, we're a school, we support our community, we're here for you guys.
I think for some neighborhoods, I've heard that there are issues going on with the HOA, and it tends to divide the neighborhood, and people don't want to get involved. They want their children to go to the events and they want to have fun, but they don't want to volunteer and they don't want to be a part of it because of the politics going on in the neighborhood. Do you see any of that going on?
In any large group of people, you're going to have some politics. I was appointed social chair by our homeowners association just because I wanted to get some more activities going in the neighborhood. I brought the concept idea from Indianapolis when we saw Flamingo Friday up there, where all the neighbors were going to a central area, bringing food and actually drinks and sitting outside with their lawn chairs. And that's one of the reasons we bought into that neighborhood, was to say, wow, they're all getting together. They're sitting to get to know each other. So I'm hoping that will spread to other areas.
I don't think it is the job of the HOA to do all of the social activities. Would you agree with that, or do you think it should be placed on the HOA for funding?
I agree. It's very hard for homeowners associations to do that. What I found out was that there were some small businesses and business owners and agents, even real estate agents, that didn't have the opportunity to get out in front of people, say hello, get them to know them otherwise than what they normally do as their job. So they said, we can help support it. And it doesn't have to be expensive. Even with our Flamingo Fridays, it's like $300, and then we rent a big blow-up screen and have some lifeguards. And I've told them to go up to the Silverado, and we get big bags of popcorn for $25 a bag, and they dish out the popcorn and get a table and just say hi.
Yeah, what's interesting is I have come across some HOAs and heard about some HOAs that don't want these sort of things going on in the neighborhood. And that always interests me, because I'm like you. I feel like these events in the neighborhood do help families bond. They do help keep down crime. They really help people get to know each other. And but I found that some HOAs, they want to be in control of everything going on in the neighborhood. So they don't want you renting out the pool for events. They don't want you having a gathering. They don't want you to even sponsor the gathering. They want to do it all themselves. They want to do their own Easter egg hunt. They don't want any sponsors. And I really think that's sad when that's the community mentality, because you can bring in so much more when you have help from the community.
There's so many really bright, talented people in everybody's community. You'd be surprised how many well-educated and talents and resources there are. And if the homeowners association or those 4 or 5 few that do not let that come in, then you just break off and start your own party, is what I say. You can lease, Meyer Park. You could go out to outside of the community. You could have it in your own backyard, and get to know people. The homeowners associations probably that are resistant to this are probably scared that someone's going to take over those events and run it as a commercialization product to do promotion for themselves. You just have to tell them that that's not your objective. Your objective is to get the neighborhood together, to have some fun activities. Honestly, if you have those activities in your neighborhood, your values will go up.
Right.
Because it is, now we've got all these real estate agents that are coming in and all these people from out of state that are going to be relocating. Their first questions are going to be, what's going on in the neighborhood? How are the schools? What's the crime rate? And if all those things check out and you've got a homeowners association that's doing fun activities, has an active swim team, has active school board members in both the elementary schools and the middle school, has a bike club, has people who are rock and rollers, then they'll want to probably move into that neighborhood.
One of the things that I know you said was started in your neighborhood was the lost pets.
Yes.
Somebody coordinated for the lost pets. And I think that's interesting because you always see signs up for people who've lost their pets. So that's a really neat thing that y'all have coordinated.
Actually, that was another real estate agent that coordinated that in our neighborhood because she had such a passion for lost animals, and she has now got a whole entire website for GLF for lost pets to help people who've got dogs that do get loose in our neighborhood.
Yeah. I know when we were talking about this before, we talked about how big neighborhoods, big communities like Bridgeland have a lot of marketing dollars to put things like this together. So you really do have to, when you're in a neighborhood where the builders moved out and the developers moved out, you really have to rely on your resources within the neighborhood.
That's true. Bridgeland is very fortunate where the builders are paying for the PR, the items that go on in the neighborhood. In Gleannloch, all the builders are actually, we've got a couple of new builders that just came in, but you have to continually market your neighborhood to make it active and to be that place that someone wants to move. So you eventually start dying.
Right. Home values go down.
Yeah.
You talked about David Frank from your community. What was his experience?
David actually lived in Gleannloch, and he's now moved into another subdivision across the street from us in Memorial Northwest. And he's now decided to take a very active role in Memorial Northwest to revamp their website, to do some community activities. And he came to me and said, "How did you do it?" And I just told him, I tapped on some of the people who were in the community and said, "Hey, let's throw together a national night out. We can get some banners. We can get a couple tables. Let's go up to the community property and then put the word out either through social media or just flyers in the area and get some people to know each other." You'd be surprised that you're going to have a pool builder that may be in your neighborhood that's going to be a lot easier to trust that he's going to build your pool correctly and not run off with your money.
Right, because he lives down the street.
He lives down the street and you can track him down.
Right.
So, and that was another reason I got motivated. We had a neighbor who was the contractor took quite a bit of money and ran off, and I urged her to use a contractor locally in the area because it'd be a lot harder when they're at a PTO meeting staring them down going, "You took my money, where are you?" So
that's true. That's very true. And there, like you said, there are a lot of resources within a neighborhood that a lot of times you don't even know the resources that are there. I mean, there are a lot of small business owners in most neighborhoods. I mean, you've got some small business owners, so it's nice to find out who those people are and really be able to support your local businesses.
Yeah, and there's actually some groups that you'll have National Charity League, some of the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, they can help come and help organize some of that, do those volunteer hours. We've actually managed to create a very large 4th of July parade now in Gleannloch. It just now is 2.5-3 miles, and we had probably 70 entries, I should say, into the event. So people love watching the parade, and it was just, let's see what we can do. And through the help of some of those nonprofit organizations that help manage getting them all in line.
Well, Leanne, it really is great to hear your story and what you've done over in Gleannloch Farms. And I know that there are a lot of people that have communities where they would like to see more activities going on and more support for the neighborhood, and certainly to see some more home sales going on and raising their home values. So I think that I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your story and how people can get those started, because I do think it's important.
Well, they can. Just reach out to the neighbors via Facebook or social media, or just a couple letters, and you'd be surprised. You may have a guy or that knows 10 neighbors, that someone who actually owns a waste disposal company that can give you the trash bin, someone who works for Dr. Pepper can give you some free soda, someone who already has a party rental place and throw a couple tents up, and a bouncy house guy that liked to get his name out there. So that's essentially what we did, was just say, hey, bring your bouncy house, bring out your business cards, make it a community event.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. All right, well, hopefully you have gotten some good ideas for your neighborhood and how you can get some things started if you don't already have some of those things going on in your neighborhood. And we will be right back with more here on Houston Real Estate Radio.